What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Unofficial Pre Fight Show. This weekend we have UFC 271, Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker 2. Let's get started. So this weekend we have the much anticipated rematch between Israel Adesanya, aka Stylebender, and Robert Whittaker. The fight that's truly going to determine who is the king of the middleweight division. Let's have a look at Robert Whittaker first. Whittaker's only loss since 2014 comes to the current champ, Stylebender. He's literally beaten the who's who of this division, and as we all know, was the former middleweight champ. Then we have Stylebender, arguably the greatest striker this division has ever seen. Maybe the greatest striker the UFC has ever seen. He's currently the undisputed champ and got the knockout victory against Robert Whittaker the first time they fought. How's this one going to play out this time around? Well, as the old saying goes, styles make fights. Unfortunately for Robert Whittaker, stylistically, I just don't see him beating a guy like Stylebender. He's predominantly a striker, and I don't think he has the wrestling or the transitions and the grappling to consistently take a guy like Stylebender down and keep him there. The reality is this: if Israel Adesanya didn't exist, Robert Whittaker would likely be the current middleweight champ of the UFC right now. The problem for Robert Whittaker is he does exist. And because of that, I do not see him getting his belt back come February 12th. We're going with Stylebender. In the co-main event this weekend, we have Derek Lewis versus Tuivasa. On paper, this should be the most entertaining fight of the night. We've got Derek Lewis, who has the most knockouts in the heavyweight division, versus King of the Shoey, Tuivasa, who's fast, powerful, and is always looking for the finish. Tuivasa, although you might not think so, is actually very athletic. Looking at his body type, you might not necessarily think he's the most athletic guy in the world, but he's fast, he's got power, and as mentioned, he's got a lot of finishes and can end somebody's night quickly. Derek Lewis needs no introduction. Got the most knockouts in the heavyweight division. Has looked pretty good so far. I really like the way he looked against Chris Daukaus in his last fight. Ended the hype on him really quick with a knockout victory. And I see this fight going down with Derek Lewis getting the victory. I likely see him getting the knockout. And we're going to stick with Derek Lewis on this one. But should be an entertaining fight. Looking forward to it. And hoping it lives up to the hype. The next fight we have on the main card is Cannonier versus Derek Brunson. Two top 5 middleweights going head to head here. This is a really close fight. I could see this going either way. Derek Brunson's on a 5-fight win streak, has looked great recently, made the move to Sanford MMA. You can tell he's picked up his game and has really developed as a fighter at that camp. And then you have Cannonier, who has also looked great since moving down to middleweight. Is 4-1 at middleweight. His only loss is coming to the former middleweight champ, Robert Whittaker. So this is a tough one to call. I am going to go with Derek Brunson, the underdog in this one. He's a slight underdog. I think that his ability to transition from striking to wrestling and kind of keep Cannonier guessing when that takedown is going to come and get him kind of second guessing his striking with the threat of that takedown will ultimately give him the victory. I also think that just his development at Sanford MMA and having a powerhouse gym behind him is really going to help him in this fight. And I'm sure they have a great strategy and game plan going in. So although this one here could go either way, I could see a case for either guy winning. We're going to go with Derek Brunson. Next up, we have Phillips versus Marcelo Rojas. If you remember, Phillips was a cast member on The Ultimate Fighter Season 27. I believe that aired back in 2018. And there's been a lot of hype around this guy from the early stages of his career. I remember heading into that Ultimate Fighter show, a lot of people were predicting this guy to win the show. He didn't, but ended up making his way to the UFC anyway, and has the technical ability to have a pretty promising career in MMA. Then you have Marcelo Rojas, who's a veteran. This guy's been a professional since 2011, has 23 professional fights, 16 wins. Out of those 16 wins, 15 finishes. He's kind of just a tough, brings the fight to you type of fighter, bite down on the mouthpiece, pretty entertaining as well. I'm going to go with Phillips in this fight. I think he's got the technical ability and the fight IQ to beat a guy like Marcelo Rojo, as long as he sticks to the game plan and fights smart. If this goes into a brawl, or if he gets baited in by Marcelo Rojo to stand and just swing, I could see Rojo winning the fight and finishing him. As long as Kyler Phillips fights smart, sticks to the game plan that his coaches come up with for this fight, I see him getting the victory. So we're going to stick with him. And the last fight we're going to review on the show today is Nazrat Haqparas versus Bobby Green. Now, Bobby Green, I've really liked how he's looked recently. I feel like he's kind of hit his stride as a fighter. He's kind of in the zone right now and is finally looking like he's comfortable fighting in the UFC. This guy's a veteran. He's been a professional since 2018, has fought all over the place, and I've been a fan of this guy for quite a while now and his fighting style. He's a very high volume, high pressure fighter, kind of breaks fighters down or his opponents down over time, sort of like a Diaz brother style, where he just comes forward and is just throwing a high volume of strikes to ultimately frustrate and break down his opponent. He's also got legitimate wrestling, which he'll often use in reverse to stuff takedowns, keep a fight standing, and just put pressure on guys and break them. Then you have Nazrat, which is a young fighter. I think he's 25, 26 years old. He's at a different stage in his career than Bobby Green. Is still developing, getting better as a professional mixed martial artist. He's good everywhere, but he's not great anywhere, which, I mean, isn't necessarily a bad thing in that, he's got really well-rounded mixed martial arts skills, but I just don't see him bringing enough to the table to beat a guy like Bobby Green. Bobby Green is kind of peaked right now. He's sort of hit his stride, and I'm going to go with him on this fight. So we're picking Bobby Green to get the victory. And this fight actually opens up the pay-per-view card, so it'll be the first fight of the night on the pay-per-view this weekend. And that's it, guys. We're done here. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll see you next week.